What's the thing that you've seen that you've had to change the most?
So I had to adjust my style, and so that took me to reflect, and so I saw that in his face, and so for me, I had to say, okay, let me see if I can take my tone down a little bit, and ask questions and explain things.
How do you handle anger in the home as a leader at home?
I think how I handle anger is sometimes I'll say, well, you know, Dad needs, give me 10 minutes, okay.
So last question for you. God forbid something happens to you today, tomorrow, and you want to leave one message with your kids about Dad. What do you want your kids to know about Dad? All right, family, listen, we're here for another interview. We got another father, another good brother of ours, and we're just going to tap into this fatherhood thing. We're going to, just see what's on our brother's heart about fatherhood. So what's your name, man? Tell the people your name.
Okay. I'm Robert Clemons.
All right, all right, Robert. So, Robert, how many kids you got, man?
I have 2 children. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son. So I got 2 high schoolers now.
Man, that's a world of its own, right? Them high school age kids. So what do you do for work?
I'm a licensed professional counselor as a profession, and I've been in the counseling field for about 25 years or so.
Wow. So you got a whole different perspective on this father thing, because not just your kids, you see it from all over, whether it's adults or kids.
Right. Exactly.
Wow, that's absolutely phenomenal. So first question for you, Rob. What, at this season in your life, because I always say that kids, we change just as much as kids change, we change as we're doing the parenting. So at this stage in your fathering, what's the thing that you've seen that you've had to change the most?
I think technically, if I want to just be transparent, I think the important thing is being transparent.
Absolutely.
Is my style, my parenting style. I think initially, we taken on the parenting style that we've been raised up in. And, my parenting style was very disciplinarian, very authoritarian type of a parenting style where you get discipline with physical punishment. Strong words, strong voicing. And so I initially started out parenting that same way with my kids. And what I identified over the last maybe 4 to 5 years is I had to make some adjustments internally with myself first in my parenting style and not be as authoritarian, but more directive, but have more inclusive of asking questions and getting more clarification. So I had to adjust my style, and so that took me to reflect. I had to reflect on my style, how it was impacting my children, because both of them are different. And my son especially, the words, the louder I got, seems like the more he shut down and his energy level, like he was not hearing me or he was confused, it was creating more anxiety. And so I saw that in his face. And so for me, I had to say, okay, let me see if I can take my tone down a little bit and ask questions and explain things. And then I found out there was more of an exchange. And I felt like I got more success hearing from him.
More positive.
And, talking about the disappointments and things of that nature, as opposed to just do this, do that.
Wow. I absolutely love that, because what I hear you talking about is, even though we are parents, I say this all the time, I know that I learn from my son every single day. And so being that open and reflective, it's about them. It's not about us and, our way. And, sometimes men, we can have an ego or, think we know a thing, but.
And you can't be like a bus driver and just drive through, They give you cues, they give you little statements. And if you're listening, they have it's funny how they say little things. I don't know what they mean. They'll make sounds and noises, and that's the cue. Like, okay, it's over the top. So I'm like, for me, it's like, okay, that's my cue. I need to change how I'm approaching things to get a different result.
Wow. So along those lines, can you think of a time where you had to apologize to your kids? Because a lot of times, we talk about the reflectiveness, and I think it's also important for them to see that reflectiveness in us as well and change it. But speaking to that, have you ever had to apologize? Listen, family, if you're enjoying these conversations, take a second to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. Now let's get back to the interview.
Oh, absolutely. Multiple times. And I would say, I won't say it's not on a daily basis. But, at least I've said in the last 6 months, I've had to do 2 or 3 times I've had to say, well, you know what? I came at you the wrong tone. What Dad is trying to say to you is, this is the expectation.
Yeah.
I want excellence.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the things you've done. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
However, this is the standard of excellence that we hold in the house,
Wow.
right?
Standard
and so,
excellence.
as opposed to saying, just speaking directly and not sharing what the intent is. The intent is to have excellence, right? Have a standard. But at the same time, if he doesn't understand the standard, I need to take some time and get him to understand the importance of the standard and why I'm saying this. And so I would say, you know what, my tone, my delivery was not right, but this is what I want you to understand. Or I come back and say, well, hey, I'm sorry. Dad was wrong. And be honest, sometimes I've just straight up cursed.
Right.
I may have said the wrong word. Sit your behind down in a different word.
Right.
And I said, Dad was wrong. I shouldn't use those words.
Yeah.
And I should use different choice of words.
Absolutely.
That's how I expect of you.
Right.
And you shouldn't expect that of me.
So I gotta exemplify that. Man, that's, I heard I can't remember his name, and you guys will probably hear it or understand it, but I heard something say, as simple as clarity is caring.
Right.
So if you clear and you let them know, hey, they might not like it. It's not about them liking it, but it's about, being clear and your intentions and what that's all about. Wow, that's absolutely powerful, because I think about, apologies and, what we do for our kids that they don't even see. Right. And so along those lines, what do you think you've had to sacrifice for your kids that they don't see, or maybe they'll never even see what you've done?
I think the time, effort, and energy, trying to give them one of the things I think about is the spiritual legacy that my father left me as a minister, and then trying to translate to my kids.
Yeah.
But I also saw as a minister's son the lack of having access to stuff, having resources and money and things that I needed. So I think I overcompensated, trying to make sure my kids have more than enough, right?
Wow.
More than excess, so they don't have to struggle. I remember we would eat lunch from members of the church that they gave my dad $20 or $50, and that's what we had to eat. When he didn't have any money.
Wow.
So I grew up with that in the back of my mind. I don't want my kids to do that.
You don't want your kids to have to worry about that.
But in the time, the sacrifice, the time, energy, and effort, working 12, 15 hours a day, over time, 20 years, it takes a toll. So I think those are things that they may not ever see. They may see the benefits of it, but I don't know they really understand it currently.
Wow, that's powerful. And they don't know the things. Like, I think you said something so powerful, because I think a lot of times with the clarity piece from what we were talking about earlier, if the kids knew where we came from, even if we do mess up, they'll have a level of understanding that they never would have had if they just got what they got from us, whether it's anger or whatever the case may be. So with that, how do you handle anger in your home, whether it's anger between you and the wife, whether it's anger between you and your kids and you and your kids? How do you handle anger in the home as a leader at home?
I think it's important to understand everybody has their limits, right? And everybody has their cap for what they can handle at a given moment. And sometimes our kids give us cues.
Right.
And sometimes we need to give ourselves and our kids cues. And so for me, I think how I handle anger is sometimes I'll say, well, Dad give me 10 minutes. Okay, I just got in, and you're bombarding me with a lot of questions. I'm feeling like I'm overwhelmed. Can you give me 10 minutes? I need to go downstairs for about 10 or 15
Decompress.
minutes. I'll be fine for us to come and talk, but right now it's not a good time. You don't want me to yell, right? You don't want me to be upset. So if you give me these 10 minutes, I think we can have a different conversation, right?
Yeah. If you don't, you're going to get what you get. I'm work in progress just like you, right? Man, that's absolutely phenomenal, because, when we can be as transparent with our kids as possible, I think God will take care of the rest. Right. I mean, that's just that's what I think is key. So,
and the key is, I think, understand that it's okay for each person to say, I need some time out.
Right.
Everybody can give themselves that time out.
Yeah.
I may not be able to say it. You might give signs, or give me 5, give me 10, whatever. But as long as y'all come up with the communication that works for you and those family members, I think, and everybody respects that.
Yeah.
Then I think, and it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
Respect their time.
Yeah.
Sometimes Christy comes in and she's on my daughter, just like I get on Bryson. I said, well, you know what? Give them that time.
Absolutely. So we're talking about, you mentioned Christy and how that dynamic happens. I'm a firm believer that men can't be as good of fathers as we need to be without our spouse. Right. So when it comes to your wife and, that balance of leading the home and having to, set a standard, but also have that partner there with you that's leading the home as well. How do you work those dynamics in your home? What does leadership look like in your home with you between you?
I think it's mutual respect. I think, each person has his place. Christy is more nurturing. She's more consistent on things like with the education. Right, so I allow her to kind of take lead on those things.
Yeah.
However, there's sometimes I see where it's overwhelming the kids. Kristen's our daughter is an advanced placement classes, right? So sometimes Kristen is her own, sometimes worst critic, right? So she wants to be 100% of the time,
right?
And so I say it's okay to do your best, but you don't want to overwhelm yourself and feel like there's a total perfection. So I have to. One of my communications with Christy is allow her to have room, to have space to make situations where she doesn't always make 100%, right?
Wow.
Give room. Don't give her the mindset that she has to always excel above me. Give her space. It's okay if she gets an 80 on this test,
right?
Because overall she's going to end up with a 95.
Anyway,
so Christy's going to stay on her like a pit bull, right? And I'm saying, well, that could emotionally impact her emotional well-being. So, and we don't want that. So I think I give her space to manage that. But if I see it's overwhelming, my job as a leader in the home is to say, hey, let's back down, let's back away, let's give her some space, and then they can figure it out themselves.
Man, that's powerful, because I think a lot of times as husbands, as fathers, we don't really make sure that dynamic is solid, because we do have strengths and weaknesses, and that's how God made it. That's just period, point blank. So it's incumbent upon us, to get that feedback from our spouse, and then make the appropriate decision that God has kind of set within us. So last question for you. God forbid something happens to you today, tomorrow, and you want to leave one message with your kids about Dad. What do you want your kids to know about Dad?
I want them to know that, first of all, I love them. I love them more than they know that I love them. And I have left them with the most important thing, which is a spiritual relationship with God. I think the spiritual legacy that I've left is something that I've received, and I believe that they've learned enough to be able to have that relationship for themselves, that I love them. I prepared an opportunity for them to have things that I wasn't aware of. My children have a will. If something happened to me today, I have a will that's already in place. I have a trust that's already in place. These are things I've never heard of as an African-American male.
Right.
I'm helping my dad, who's 84, to develop the same thing. But I'm like, okay, they need to have some things in place. So they have an opportunity, to build on the legacy
that you've set in place.
But they have a legacy, and their children, them and their children, will have something to carry them on. But the most important thing is I can leave with them is that I love them, and that spiritual relationship that they have with God. I think those are two. And family takes care of family, period.
Say that, because it's one of those things where preparation, a lot of times we don't prepare enough. And I love how you talked about the spiritual preparation, because if nothing else fails, you got that.
Yes, right.
Man, I appreciate it, Rob. I appreciate you, man. Listen, y'all, this is another interview in the books. Listen, if y'all like this content, if y'all want to hear more from our fathers, y'all want to get to the heart of what this fatherhood thing is all about men who's actually in it, doing it, like, share, and subscribe, and you'll get all you need. To the next interview, we'll see y'all. Peace.
Deuces.